Welcome back to Tennessee Valley This Morning. Joe and Kim Pala with you on this middle of the week Wednesday, now joined by our resident historian, Ron Moore.
Good morning.
I'm
the official WTMB historian.
You are. You know it. Not to
not
mention
even
the
that,
official
but Whoop 99
Football Friday
And with about
trivia
$5
question
at
person.
Starbucks, I could get coffee.
There you go. But with a buck at McDonald's, you can get
buck,
that
I
now,
know that,
right?
yeah.
That's right. Well, tell us. I know we're talking history. We do every Wednesday, and today we have a special topic. What's the topic today?
We're talking about working on the railroad.
Ah,
not
this is
actually
all the
working
livelong
on the
day?
railroad. We're going to talk about the railroad.
Okay.
Railroad.
Okay.
In 1862,
All right.
Abraham Lincoln, known as the president at that time,
Sure.
God rest his soul.
he said, and I quote, "To take and hold the railroad at or east of Cleveland in East Tennessee is, I think, fully as important as taking and holding of Richmond."
Wow.
Of course, Richmond was the capital of the
Right,
Confederacy.
right.
So this was a very, very important area. It took you on, the railroads here took you to south, down into Alabama, could get over into, back over to Nashville. So this is very important coming down from the eastern seaboard. So, but in November of 1861, the year before he said this, the people here in Bradley County, at least the Union activists, already knew that.
Okay.
They were ahead of Abraham Lincoln. And so 5 men here in Cleveland, Tennessee, 150 years ago yesterday, decided to burn the bridge here at Charleston. Charleston's the Hiwassee River, the railroad bridge there. And there was also, it was a Union plot all over East Tennessee to burn 9 bridges. So on that night, they got together and they burned the bridge here. Only 4 of the 9 were destroyed, and the Confederate troops stopped the other ones. So no one actually knew at that time who had the 5 men were. But the Confederate authorities here in Cleveland said, we're just going to gather them all up and get the usual suspects, I think is a movie there.
Right.
So they arrested 12 Union activists, and then they shipped them to Knoxville, and they had some kind of little trial, says you're guilty. They sent them to Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and then sent them to prison in Mobile, Alabama. And they were held there.
I think I'd rather go to prison than Tuscaloosa.
They were held there until
Well, it's
1962.
Alabama. See, that's what happens.
Well, prison. Alabama is prison, isn't it?
I'm telling you. I mean, that's punishment enough.
But they were
Sorry,
held there
Sheriff.
until 1962. The local people here got together and signed a petition. Both the people on the Confederate and the Union, and they signed a petition and got all the men out. And after about 6 months of captivity, those people arrested were Levi Truett. He was the first city commissioner of Cleveland. He was also one of the big surveyors that brought, Bradley County was formed in 1838, so just before the Cherokee met, they had a lot of surveyors in here. He ended up with a lot of property also.
I bet.
As a surveyor, you knew where the good deals
stuff
were.
was.
And he probably best known, his name's Levi Truett. Levi Truett, you probably heard of Truett Elementary or Junior High. It's now Lake Forest.
Right.
All that was the Truett Farm.
Right.
Down in that
Okay.
area, so that's where the Truett family's there. Truett was 62 years old when they arrested him and set him down there.
Oh, he wasn't a young man.
There's never any proof that he knew about it, and there's never any proof that he didn't know about it either.
Right.
So he died the day after he was released. He's buried up on Fort Hill Cemetery. Him and his
Talk
wife.
about bad luck.
Yes.
No luck at all, I'm telling you.
Also arrested was Dr. William Hunt. Samuel Hunt, who came back, became the postmaster for the area. Dr. John G. Brown, Charles D. Champion, Thomas L. Cape, and yes, that's the Joe Cape family, former
Okay.
city manager of Cleveland.
Yes,
That's
yes.
his family. Sidney B. Wise, Stephen Beard, James S. Bradford, John Bean, John Kinslow, and Alan Marler were all arrested and taken to prison.
Huh.
Most of these men are now buried here on Fort Hill Cemetery here in
no
Cleveland.
kidding.
And this past weekend they done a tour
Right.
of the cemetery, and they went around, and a lot of these people, they had characters of these people, and they talked about their involvement or not their involvement in helping get these men out of jail or the people who were actually in jail.
Right.
They talked about that. But later now, we found out that this is who they think now actually burned the bridge. Ironically,
Wow.
you won't hear the 12 people arrested, you won't hear the same names here except for one, okay? Alfred Cate, which is Thomas Cate's cousin, Alfred, was from Ottawa. He snuck up here.
He snuck up here to be
So
doing
Thomas
some
Kate
wrong stuff.
was one of those. Jesse F. Cleveland, the city of Cleveland's named after his family, buried up here on the Spriggs Cleveland Cemetery on Ginger Wilson Buchanan's farm.
Okay.
There, where that graveyard is. And his son, Eli Cleveland. Only one of those, Thomas Kate was the only one of the bridge burners that was actually arrested. Now, the prison in Mobile was pretty overcrowded. There was no chairs, tables, benches, or beds. So many of the prisoners there had spent long term, and all these were Union soldiers and captives. So the Union troops
I bet it didn't smell good.
No, it probably didn't. I hate to
I
say
have problems with that.
most of the deaths.
Now, if you were in there, would it smelled okay?
It smelled better.
Could
it
you
would
keep
smell
yourself
better.
clean?
At least the first week. After that, everything goes downhill.
It went downhill.
During the Civil
couldn't
War,
have said that.
ironically, there's a lot of deaths, of course, to many balls, but there's a lot of deaths just to illness. And unfortunately, I hate to say this, but diarrhea was the
Right.
number one cause of death
Told you it didn't
during
smell
the Civil
good.
War.
Pectate wasn't around back then.
Right. But the Union troops were supposed to have been here in East Tennessee to support these burning of the 9 bridges. But they got rerouted and sent to Kentucky.
Okay.
Well, apparently all these guys had 3G phones. And they didn't get the information in time.
About the taco thing happening.
They
The
didn't.
taco party wasn't
So
happening.
they went ahead and burned it, and there was no Union troops to come along and support those. So, if you go back and study a lot of the Civil War, you'll find out a lot of the battles were won or lost because they couldn't communicate with each other.
Right.
If they had known that how weak the Confederate troops were at this time or how strong they were
Right.
at this time, they may have came on. And a lot of times they stopped and went another way or didn't know where there was no satellite positioning either, and so they didn't know where the troops were a lot of times. And the railroad along this area was pretty interesting. Right up here behind where, up here where Dr. Scholl's is.
Okay, yeah.
The railroad runs through there.
Yes.
Right.
Well, there was some people, I won't mention the prominent family's name, the judge's family's name, that tried to blow up a Union troop train. It was coming through here. Unions and the Confederate both used this railroad. It was the East Tennessee Railroad at that time. And so they put what they called a torpedo on the tracks to blow up the Union train. Well, the train came and it didn't blow up. So they went to get it, and before they got there, the Confederate troop come through and it blew it up.
Oh,
So
Kind of like the Roadrunner thing when they jump on top of it and it finally.
so there's
they killed their own folks.
They didn't mean to.
Well, it doesn't matter if they meant to. Their dead's dead.
Friendly
yeah,
fire.
but,
Friendly torpedo.
So the railroad had a lot to do with the Civil War through here and the transportation. Of course, the water that we had here in the rivers,
Right.
Another part of that, natural defenses to get the troops coming across the river, and of course the mountains here down in Blue Springs, and of course railroads through that area. So a lot of Union activity, a lot of Confederate activity, and like I say, this was a very, very important. Not only we can go all the way from the removal of the Cherokee Indian now to the Civil War, and Bradley County had a big part of that. No major battle here. We did have some minor skirmishes and battles around this area, but never the major battle. But a lot of the troops who made the difference in this came right through this area.
And I guess too. Well, Kentucky they were neutral, were they not? Wasn't the state of Kentucky neutral?
I think Kentucky became a Confederate state.
Did they?
Yeah.
And so I guess in the idea of it, it's the if you were a Union soldier, of course you probably weren't this far down. I don't guess there was many, although there probably were.
They were occupied. The Indian
Yeah.
Knife Regiment was here.
Yeah.
And then there was a lot camped down at Tucker Springs that went on down to burn Atlanta. So we had a lot of the major battle troops came through here and camped here at one
Not
time.
to mention Chickamauga Joe.
I know. I'm talking.
There's
Well,
a
that was.
bunch of them over there
Well,
too.
I said we. We came to fight. Sorry about that.
If we'd had 4G, you guys got.
I'm telling you.
That's all they are
I
to
know.
4G would have made a difference.
We were,
I forgot what I was going to say now. I do that quite
See,
often these
there's
days.
a screening day coming up.
I'm worried about the hereafter.
Michelle's going to help us on that
Michelle's
a
going
little
to help
later.
us with that. She's got a screening day for all of us that can't remember what day it is she's having it.
But like I say, a lot of the people who fought came through here. It was an important stopover. A lot of the generals came through here, you know, at the Hideker House in Charleston. So there'll be more and more activities over the next couple of years celebrating the, or not celebrating, but honor the
Right.
Civil War. I don't know if we
Right.
celebrate it or not, might be the wrong
Right.
term, but
Yeah.
remembering what happened during the Civil War. And like I say, Bradley County had a large involvement with that. These guys that got out, except Levi, which died, most of them went and joined the Union Army.
Really?
After they got out and became generals and fought against us for sure then.
Winning.
Well, that's what they get, right? That's right.
So, if you falsely accuse us of doing something, we're going to
We're going to show you. That's
I
right.
thought that
We
was
can do
interesting
it.
that, oh yeah, by the way, I went and joined the Union Army.
That's right, in your
right.
face.
You know, and East Tennessee was voted not to secede from the nation.
Oh, really?
But there's a bunch of folks from Middle Tennessee and Louisiana, and I'll come up here and say, yeah, you are. And matter of fact, then East Tennessee decided we'll vote to secede from Tennessee. And they
Wow.
Said, and they said, no, you can't do that.
All right, because they needed
No,
that
you-
little angle right there.
Yeah,
on
you
the
can't.
stage.
You can't succeed when everybody else can, but you can. So we told East Tennessee that you can't do this, and that's how.
No kidding.
So, but East Tennessee was 2/3 of the state definitely wanted to be in the Confederacy, and East Tennessee predominantly wanted to be in the Union.
So well, see, that's good. We could have considerably been like a North and South Dakota thing or a North and South Carolina thing.
No, it would have been east and west, I believe.
I know, but I'm talking about in the idea of being split up in the same state name. It would have been East Tennessee
Well,
and
But all
regular
of West
Tennessee.
Tennessee would have just been a
It would have been
rectangle.
Tennessee and then East Tennessee.
No shape
You
to
know,
it.
living here all my life, you know that there's not an actual border down there, but there is an East and West Tennessee.
Yes.
Right,
yes,
there it
yes.
is.
Whether
Oh,
they call it that or
absolutely.
not.
Right.
Totally do
That's
different
right.
parts of the state.
Whether or not there was any.
Well, I think what's interesting, of course, is that any Saturday, not just on Wednesday, but any
here
Saturday,
he goes.
you can get some great historical information on Whoop Radio 99.9 on Old Town Cleveland,
Yes.
10 to 12. Whoop Radio. Ron and his lovely wife Debbie do a radio show where you can call in. Unlike this
Debbie
one,
knows everything too.
Debbie knows everything.
I
Debbie
told you,
does.
see?
Yes,
Debbie does.
she wrote my notes.
I got you.
But it's a great show, and of course a lot of information. And what's
she
this week's
smells
show
good.
about?
Does she smell good? She cleans up good.
Cleans up really good. She's an old country girl, you
I
know.
know, you're just. Y'all are
this-
sweet. Aren't
this-
y'all sweet?
Yeah, we are.
We smell good.
This weekend, matter of fact, we're going to be talking about Coach Jim Smitty,
Oh,
Wonderful.
the winningest coach
Yes.
of any sport in America.
Yes.
wow.
Yes,
And a
1200.
great man.
1200. He was a boxer in the Navy, and he was also played tennis at the University of Tennessee. A lot of people don't know. A lot
I
of
didn't
things.
know that.
So yes,
Yeah, and just a great guy. Of course, he'll be known as the winning because he took the Bradley. I think he's the one that kind of single-handedly got girls basketball on the map, at least around here, because it was kind of back there, and he took it to another level. And the Bradley Central Bearettes have been awesome because of him.
Over 1,200 wins in his career, which is pretty amazing, and it was something like an 80% winning
Yeah.
margin, and won back-to-back national championships. They were named the national championship team, undefeated 2 years in a row. Liz Hanna played on those teams.
And Karen Mills that we had
Karen
on the
Mills
show.
was there in '74, I believe, when she was
Right.
there also. And well, I attended Bradley 68 through 88. 68 through 72.
I was like, what?
The best
It took
20
him a
years of
long-
his life was
took
high
him a long
school.
time to get out.
I was a fifth-year senior. Isn't that what that is, a fifth-year senior?
Graduate student.
But we won the championship 2 years, my 4 years there, and also I think we finished second and third the other 2 years. So,
Wow.
and that was back in the old days when the 3-on-3 style basketball was played in girls basketball.
Right.
And Coach Smitty was just a brilliant person. And very nice guy, but he also was, I had him for homeroom, and it was yes sir and no sir.
Oh,
He was a
sure.
well-respected
He's a
person.
coach.
Yeah,
Yes,
absolutely.
He was a
Smitty.
coach everywhere.
playing
But
around.
but a great guy.
Yeah, excellent coach as well. Well, speaking, you talked about the bridge, and I didn't talk about this earlier, but I do want to bring this up, and the soldiers.
Look at this.
No, and the
This is a
soldiers.
segue.
This is serious now, and the soldiers that you talked about, and because of that, when we have look at that. Big Veterans Day
Friday.
program will be Friday. Of course, we'll have here. Dan will have on Sid Heidel and a couple other veterans.
Is that veterans with an apostrophe or not?
No.
This is
No,
veterans
it shouldn't
without the
be.
apostrophe because it's the
that is
banner. They
correct,
know how to
then.
do it.
That's
That
right.
is correct,
That's right.
then.
You told
See
us,
that?
and
Yes.
I've done it every time I've written it.
The twice she's written it in whatever.
No apostrophe.
But honoring the veterans, our heroes, Bradley County's annual Veterans Day program will be Friday, November 11th. This Friday, obviously, 11 o'clock. Bradley County Courthouse. Performing will be the Bradley County Veterans Firing Squad, Color Guard presented by Bradley Central Junior ROTC. Music by the Cleveland High School Band, dedication of Blue Star Memorial Marker, ringing of the plowshare, and in case of inclement weather, the program will be held at the VFW Post Home on North Accoy Street. Everyone, is asked to bring a lawn chair. So it's going to be, and guest speaker Colonel Robert J. Jenkins.
The firing squad.
In front or behind?
You might catch the bullet in my teeth. I've done it before.
Right, Superman.
But yeah, it's going to be a great event. So make plans to be there because and I think Mayor Rowland is always out there, and he does the.
But still come anyway.
Yeah, come anyway.
That's
right,
right.
exactly.
In spite of all.
But that's this Friday. Well, Ron, thank you for all the information about
A wealth
that.
of information.
It always
Just a
is.
wealth.
In fact, on Football Friday, all the trivia questions we had out, some of them were very, very difficult. He comes up with those trivia questions. And again, we always talk about if he really doesn't know the answer, he makes one up that is so good, it's believable. And if you can guess that, then obviously all these people that guessed it won. Which, by the way, we got to give, on television, we're saying this, Jason Hildebrand, his Jenkins certificate.
It's out
We've
in the
got it in
car.
the car. Yeah, we're going to give it to Ron.
Well,
So we
no,
give it to
Ron's
Jake.
going to be gone before we get finished here. See, you forgot to
gonna
bring
give-
it in.
I didn't forget to bring it in.
Michelle?
You did. Did you know it was in the car?
Yes. Didn't
Why
I
didn't you
just
bring
tell
it
you?
in?
Because it was your job. You said you were going to
Oh, well, we have jobs now?
Yeah. No, not you. That'd be me.
All of a sudden, we have jobs. Okay. But in any case, again, Ron and Debbie Moore, Saturday, 10 to 12 on Whoop Radio. And Ron, well, we no longer have Football Friday, so you'll just be seeing Ron on Wednesdays.
You know what? The only thing I can't remember is
What?
exactly what day my wife's birthday is on.
Ooh.
I can help you with that. I think it's on Facebook. Didn't she have a
Well,
birthday
yes,
not too long?
He
that's
since
happened
knows now,
I
kids.
know, but my dad was born on the 26th of September, and my wife was born on the 27th of September, I think.
I think.
Or my wife was born on the 26th of September, and my dad was
That
on the 26th.
happens a lot with
So
folks.
each year I just buy 2 presents, and I'm
Yeah, you
right.
just give it on that first day here.
Right,
right.
and
This
if you
is-
give it the first day and she says, it's not today, I
That's
just
good.
wanted to get you one the day before
Yeah.
because you smell good.
That's very, very good, Ron. That's a good thing. And now Kim's birthday, I remember, simply because if I forget, she makes sure I remember.
That's right.
By telling me, it's
Kidding
my
me.
birthday coming up. Now with me, it's a little different. If my birthday's on the weekend, I have a birthday weekend. If I have it during the week, it's a birthday week.
Right.
Okay.
It's
all
really
we
a
call-
birthday month, and he says that he was born in the same month of our Lord and
Joe,
Savior.
as you get a little older, you'll get away from
I
birthdays.
know. I try. Well, the reason why I celebrate him because it's just it's special
Just
to
so
me.
he can be special.
I'm 45 to the 12th power.
But it's and birthdays are good because it's another year.
There's cake.
Not for me.
there's
I'm not
cake.
much into the cake.
I
thing.
am.
I'm into the presents more. But
I
anyway.
know. I just-
Well, great. Ron will be back next Wednesday. We'll have another interesting topic. We'll tell you some more about Bradley County history, and hopefully we'll find out a little bit more about maybe this bridge burning. Did they do it yesterday again?
They did it on November 8th.
November 8th. Okay, and they do that every year. They
Yes,
don't
they
really
do.
burn the bridge again,
no.
but
there's
somebody sits there
smoke.
with a match for a little bit.
I think they did it this last Saturday at 2
Last
o'clock.
Saturday
They had
at 2.
that, and they had reenactors there, and I think the most everything that they camped out and stayed there, and
Wow.
and people come up and they got to listen to them cook and play banjos.
Well, this
and
I was
stuff.
going to ask. 'Cause we do have it just a minute. When they do the reenactment, how do they reenact the bridge burning? What do they do?
Have
Well, they don't
orange
tell Southern
sheets.
Railroad.
Ah,
They had a small barge down below it, and they set off
set
smoke
it on
bombs.
fire. Oh, okay,
Yeah.
all right. 'Cause I haven't been there to see
Yeah,
it. And I wondered.
TVA and the Southern Railroad was against any fires.
Yeah, they would frown
Yeah,
upon that.
frown upon that
Yeah.
stuff.
But at least it's an observance of something that was very historical to our area and something that we need to remember.
Yes.
And talk about.
And speaking of remembering, Michelle Baker's going to
She
be
is.
talking about it.
She's going to be here. Talk about
Memory-
memory screening.
Right, and that'll
So
help
you can remember. Help you to remember
Right.
the screening. Anyway, we'll be back with Michelle Baker. We'll talk about the memory screening. We'll have again Ron next Wednesday and a lot more Tennessee Valley this morning on this middle of the week Wednesday. Right after this, stay with us.